You don't crave it because it's missing. You crave it so intensely because somewhere in your quantum field, it's already yours. And that changes everything. What if your deepest desires aren't signs of emptiness but echoes from the future? Not wishes but memories. Pause and feel this, what you yearn for most, love. Abundance, purpose, vitality, isn't calling to you. It's calling from you, from a version of yourself that already lives, breathes, and embodies it. Yet that version feels impossibly far, doesn't it? Like a parallel life just beyond your fingertips, close enough to ache for, too far to grasp. That's the paradox that traps nearly everyone inside the illusion of separation. You long for it so much that the longing becomes the barrier itself. Let me explain. Desire, when born from wholeness, is magnetic. It organizes timelines. But desire, when fueled by lack, becomes distortion. It collapses possibility into the frequency of I don't have. And here's what most never see. The quantum field, the substrate of infinite potential, doesn't answer what you want. It mirrors what you are. It vibrates in response to your coherence, your embodiment, your energetic signature. So when your wanting is knotted with resistance, your signal blurs. The wave never collapses into the form you seek, because you're still resonating as the version of you who waits, not the one who receives. This isn't poetic mysticism, it's physics. Heisenberg proved that observation alters outcomes. But what are you observing when you live in desire? You're observing a future not yet lived and coding it as absence. You're gazing at your potential through the lens of not yet, and in doing so, you delay the collapse that births it into form. Here's the missing teaching. Desire isn't a path toward something. It's a breadcrumb trail back to something. Back to a self that already exists in a timeline where it's done. The more you chase, the more you confirm that it's not yours. Think about it. When you ache for love, your body hums with the absence of touch. When you fixate on money, your heartbeat sinks to scarcity. When you crave freedom, your lungs tighten under invisible weight. So while your mind shouts yes, your field whispers no. And in the quantum, the field doesn't hear your thoughts, it feels your frequency. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The tighter your grip, the louder your lack, the more you need proof, the more evidence you create that it's missing. Every time you check, you collapse a timeline where it hasn't arrived. Every time you try to control the how or when, you reaffirm that it isn't natural for you. Every time you visualize but still doubt, you scramble the field with interference. So the real question isn't, how do I get what I want? It's, why am I still vibrating as the one who doesn't already have it? That is the quantum key. And when you grasp it, you unlock creation so seamless, it looks like magic. But let's go deeper. What if your desires aren't personal, but encrypted signals in the field, pre-coded invitations pulling you into expansion? What if wanting isn't weakness, but a GPS ping from your own future, and the ache isn't from absence, but from misalignment, the static between who you are and who already holds it? This changes everything about longing. Desire isn't to be suppressed nor followed blindly. It's a portal, a vibrational transmission. Your work isn't to chase it, but to tune to it. Yet how do you tune to something invisible? That's the sacred puzzle your soul incarnated to solve, because the answer isn't in doing, it's in being. This is where most manifestation teachings collapse. They focus on rituals, scripts, and vision boards. But the field doesn't echo your words, it reflects your coherence. The alignment between thought, emotion, and motion. If even one misfires, the wave remains unformed. You don't attract your future, you attune to it. But if it's already done, why can't you feel it yet? Why does it still seem distant? Why does wanting still ache? Because an old memory in your nervous system whispers, this isn't safe, this isn't possible, this isn't me. That memory, usually unseen, locks you in a timeline of repetition, a loop of waiting, hoping, almost, until that code is rewritten. Energetically, somatically, you orbit the familiar while glimpsing the extraordinary. So what now? We end the loop. We stop chasing and start remembering. Because the version of you who already has it isn't out there. It's encoded in your field. It's murmuring through your desires, hidden inside your longings, waiting not to be summoned. but chosen. In the next chapter, we'll explore how your brain already accesses that future without permission and how to use that power consciously to shift timelines. You're not fantasizing a better life. You're neurologically remembering one, but more on that soon. There's something strange about memory. It's said to flow one way from past to present like ink drifting backward through time's river. But that's only true if you believe the mind is a storage box, not what it truly is, an antenna. And when the noise fades long enough, something mysterious unfolds. You begin to receive impressions, visions, flashes, not of what was, but of what wants to be. Scenes you've never lived, yet they feel hauntingly familiar. Emotions with no story, images without context. Why does a certain version of success feel so real even though it hasn't unfolded yet? Why do some futures feel like déjà vu? Because your brain doesn't only recall the past, it recalls the future, not symbolically, but neurologically. Modern neuroscience, especially research on neuroplasticity and predictive coding, reveals that the brain isn't a recorder, it's a predictor. It doesn't merely observe reality, it builds it. Every thought, every feeling, every moment of perception is a projection sculpted from prior data. Here's where it gets fascinating. When your inner landscape is saturated with a future vision and that vision repeats with emotional intensity, your brain upgrades its map. It begins to treat that imagined future as memory. And once the future becomes memory, the body follows suit. Your nervous system doesn't question physical proof. It only listens for consistency. That's why someone can ache from trauma they don't consciously remember, or heal from an experience that hasn't yet occurred. The body keeps the score, but never checks the timestamp. Joe Dispenza calls this neurochemical conditioning. When you mentally rehearse a future with vivid detail and deep emotion, your neurons wire it in as if it already happened. That isn't optimism. That's neurological installation. And once the pattern is installed, your biology becomes magnetic, drawing experiences that resonate with the inner imprint. It alters what you see, how you move, what you magnetize, and what possibilities collapse into form. But this only works when you feel it. Visualization without emotion is hollow, like a sketch with no color, a plan with no pulse. For the future to register as memory, it must be felt as real as your past. Your heart must surge as if success is already here. Your breath must expand as though love has already arrived. Your stance must shift as if you're already safe, prosperous, alive. Without that emotional frequency, the brain tags your vision as fantasy. But once emotion, especially elevated states like gratitude, awe, and joy, charges it, the brain relabels it from imagined to remember. This is where science meets ancient knowing. Mystics have long taught that time isn't linear, that the soul exists outside the ticking clock, that your future self isn't ahead of you but beside you, vibrating on another frequency. And when your brain begins to harmonize with that version, you start to entangle with it. In quantum physics, entanglement describes particles linked beyond space and time. Change one, and the other shifts instantly. Consciousness operates the same way. When your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors synchronize with a chosen future, you merge with the self already living it. And once entangled, reality begins to rearrange itself. Subtly at first, then undeniably. Coincidences align into patterns. Doors open where walls once stood. People and events shift around you, not because you're lucky, but because you've stopped vibrating as your past self. Yet here's the catch, the part that breaks most people. The body resists unfamiliar emotion, even the good kind. After years, maybe decades of rehearsing stress, struggle, and disappointment, those emotions feel like home. Anything beyond that baseline, even joy, feels unsafe. That's why it's easier to slide back into fear than to maintain gratitude. The nervous system doesn't crave truth. It craves familiarity. So when you begin to install new emotional memories of love, abundance, or freedom, your body pushes back. It doubts. It contracts. It clings to the predictable discomfort of the past. And if you're unaware of that resistance, you'll mistake it for failure when in truth, it's proof that the old pattern is fighting for survival. You stop the rehearsal. You let doubt dissolve the waveform. You abandon the future before it ever has the chance to solidify into now. But here's what most never see. Resistance doesn't mean you're wrong. Resistance means it's working, because the moment you choose a new emotional reality, you threaten the existence of the old one. And the ego, the fragile architecture built from safety, identity, and control, will fight to survive. It will whisper, "This isn't you." It will insist, "This is impossible." It will weaponize logic, memory, and even your spiritual practice to pull you back into the familiar. But none of that is truth. It's static. Feedback from a frequency that's fading. You are not your past. You are consciousness itself, choosing its next expression. And the more often you install the memory of your future self, the more you override the chemistry of history. You recondition your mind to anticipate miracles. You retrain your nervous system to feel safe in pleasure. You teach the body to align with coherence, and coherence is the key. When heart and brain pulse in harmony, your field becomes potent enough to collapse probabilities into matter. This is the real science of quantum creation. Not wishing, not hoping, but remembering who you already are in a future that's whispering across the veil. So ask yourself, will you keep replaying the default program of your past? Or will you become the living memory of what's already waiting for you? You're collapsing realities right now. Not through effort, not through strategy, but through something infinitely stronger, your observation. And the question is, what are you observing? Because if your mind is anchored to what's missing, if your heart is tangled in what hasn't happened, if your energy orbits what could go wrong, then you're not witnessing the future you desire. You're reinforcing the one you fear. The quantum field doesn't follow your preferences, it follows your focus. And in quantum physics, the observer effect reminds us, the very act of looking changes what you see. Particles move like waves, limitless, undefined, until observed. Only then do they choose a form. That instant of observation is the birth of creation. And here's what most overlook. You are always observing something, and therefore, always collapsing something. The issue isn't that manifestation fails, it's that it functions flawlessly, just not always in the direction you intend. Every thought, every emotional fixation, every silent monologue is an act of observation, and most people, unknowingly, are experts at observing lack. They monitor what's broken. They dissect why it hasn't happened. They chase signs, track timing, overanalyze every silence. They stare at their present and mistake it for prophecy when it's really just an echo of their past vibration. That's the trap. When you wait for life to give you permission to believe, you stop being the observer and become the observed, reactive, passive, tangled in a timeline you didn't choose, and the field obeys. Neville Goddard captured it perfectly. To be conscious of being poor while praying for wealth is to receive the very thing you are conscious of being. You cannot collapse abundance while fixated on scarcity. You cannot generate love while entangled with loneliness. Your attention never lies. It tells the field what to arrange itself around. The truth is, you've likely been collapsing the wrong reality for years, not for lack of power, but from not understanding how precise that power really is. Your focus has been hijacked by fear, by inherited narratives, by ancient survival patterns running beneath awareness. These aren't just psychological residues, they are quantum commands. They tell the field, this is what I recognize. This is who I am. This is home, but what if home is outdated? What if the identity you keep referencing is not the one you're becoming, but the one you're escaping? That is the observer's paradox. The harder you fight your current reality, the more energy you give it. Resistance isn't neutral, it's observation in disguise. And each time you resist what is, you reinforce what was, not because the universe is punishing you, but because the field is loyal. It mirrors your signal, not your slogans. So when your vibration hums, "I'm not there yet," the field, faithful as ever, replies, "Then you're not." How do you change this? Not through control, not by tracking every step or chasing every sign. You shift the observer. You stop trying to visualize harder and start becoming the one who naturally perceives it as done. You step into the frequency of inevitability, the quiet certainty that whispers, "Of course it's mine." not because of perfect affirmations, but because every cell of your being vibrates in agreement with that truth. And this is where coherence comes in. When mind and heart are synchronized, when thought, emotion, and action move as one, your field becomes coherent. A coherent field sends no mixed messages, it doesn't collapse. Chaos, it births clarity, and clarity is what bends the quantum sea of potential into a timeline that reflects your essence. But here's the paradox. Clarity isn't control, it's surrender. It's the willingness to align so deeply with your future self that you no longer demand proof. You are the proof. Your vibration becomes so steady, so embodied, that the external world can only reorganize itself around you. But the mind will resist. It will gesture toward your bank account, your body, your relationships, your past, and whisper, "See? It's not working." That is the test. That is the threshold. The dying echo of your former self pleading for your attention one last time. Because if it can lure you back into observing lack, it can live a little longer. But you didn't come here to survive your old story. You came to dissolve it softly, consciously, completely. And here's what most never understand. Timelines don't shift through effort. They shift through fidelity. The more loyal you are to the version of you who already lives that future, the more your field begins to echo that frequency. It begins subtly. Your thoughts evolve. Your emotional baseline rises. People respond to you differently, not because they changed, but because your field did. And your field is the blueprint. Quantum physics reminds us reality isn't fixed, it's probabilistic. Every instant, infinite versions of you coexist, and your attention is the selector. Your emotion is the amplifier. Your belief is the stabilizer. Combine them, and you don't just witness a new reality, you become it. But the final initiation is always the hardest. You must release the need to see it before you feel it, because the moment you can feel it without needing proof, you've already collapsed the timeline. The body doesn't lie. You can write flawless affirmations, visualize with perfect detail, chant intentions every morning, but if your nervous system is still wired to the past, you're not transmitting the future. You're transmitting fear. The quantum field doesn't respond to your goals. It responds to your embodiment. Feel. As if it's already done, they say, but this isn't pretending. It isn't about tricking the universe with forced gratitude or hollow smiles. It's about becoming the vibrational signature of the reality you desire, not thinking it, not hoping it, living it emotionally, energetically, biologically before evidence appears. That is the most radical act of creation. To feel ahead of your physical world's curve, to embody love before love arrives, to feel abundant before money manifests, to walk in freedom while the cage still looks closed. This isn't delusion, it's quantum alignment, and neuroscience agrees. The body can't distinguish between an experience vividly imagined and one physically lived. Rehearse a future reality with emotional voltage, and the brain wires it. The body floods with the same chemistry. The heart recalibrates its rhythm. The field begins to tune. Suddenly, you're not dreaming about a new timeline, you're inside it. Because the moment your inner world feels more real than your outer one, the field bends to meet you. In the quantum view, reality isn't objective, it's participatory. Your internal state doesn't follow your external conditions, it creates them. The field isn't responding to your circumstances, it's responding to the signal you emit, and the most coherent signal you can send is the frequency of already being. Not needing, not waiting, being. But here's the challenge. Your body has been conditioned, maybe for decades, to live inside an old frequency: stress, vigilance, not enoughness. These aren't just mental loops, they're somatic programs, etched into your fascia, your breath, your posture. So when you begin to embody something new, when you breathe deeper, lift your chest, open your heart, the old frequency will resist. It will whisper, "You're faking it." It will try to drag you back into the emotional gravity of your former self. And in that moment, you must choose. Because the truth is, you don't step into a new reality when it arrives. You step into it before it does. You cross the vibrational threshold in the unseen, and the seen follows. This isn't wishful thinking. It's electromagnetic causality. Your heart emits the strongest magnetic field in your body. When you sustain elevated emotions, gratitude, joy, compassion, the heart becomes coherent. And when your heart is coherent, your brain synchronizes with it, creating a measurable unified field around you. In that state, your influence on reality multiplies. But coherence takes practice. It's not a single meditation, it's a daily devotion. Remembrance of who you already are. This is embodiment. When the future you seek feels so familiar that your body no longer doubts it. Your cells start coding for it. Your thoughts shift. Your actions align effortlessly. You speak differently. You walk differently. People respond differently. Why? Because you're no longer signaling desire. You're signaling reality. That's the shift. It's subtle, almost imperceptible at first. You wake up a little lighter. You don't react to old triggers. Peace replaces striving. And that's when the field begins to mirror you back. But the ego doesn't like peace. It craves drama, control, proof. So even as your field expands, your mind contracts. It asks, where is it? Why hasn't it happened yet? If you listen to that voice, you collapse the wave back into uncertainty. So instead, you pause, you breathe, you return to the embodiment. You remind yourself, if I feel it now, I no longer need it to come. And paradoxically, that's when it moves toward you. Not because you chased it, but because you became magnetic to it. The most powerful manifestors aren't the ones who push the hardest. They're the ones who are most emotionally fluent in their future reality. To them, it's not fantasy, it's memory, a frequency already visited in dreams and silence, in meditation, and the body remembers. So ask yourself, what does it feel like to already live that reality? Where does it live in your body? How does that version of you breathe? Speak, decide, then make that feeling your home. Visit it daily. Breathe into it until one day you realize you're not embodying the timeline anymore. You've become it. Type it into the comments, I'm already living it. Not for validation, but as a declaration. Not to the world, but to the field. Let it ripple through your cells, your choices, your tomorrow. Because once you claim it internally, the external must rearrange. Not by magic, but by quantum fidelity. Desire is a signal, a flare from your higher self, showing you what's already real in another vibrational address. But desire was never meant to stay. It's a messenger, not a home. If you cling to it too long, it decays into lack, into craving, into the vibration of I'm not there yet. That's where most get trapped, in the quantum loop. It starts innocently. You feel a spark, a glimpse of the future, a taste of a higher frequency, and for a moment, your entire being lights up. You're in resonance. You're aligned. You're calling it in. But then you start waiting. And with the waiting comes the questioning. With the questioning, the checking. With the checking, the noticing that it's not here yet. And that's when the subtle collapse begins. You loop back into the identity that birthed the desire, instead of the one that fulfills it. You start seeing reality again, through the eyes of the seeker, not the creator. And that loop feeds itself. You desire, you visualize, you doubt, you wait, you reinforce. The longer you orbit that pattern, the more your nervous system normalizes the gap between who you are and who you're becoming. It starts to feel natural to almost arrive, to live in the tension of nearly. But the quantum field doesn't respond to preparation. It responds to presence, to the moment you no longer need the desire because you've become the one who already embodies it. That's the inflection point. When desire dissolves into identity. When the fire of longing becomes the warmth of knowing, not out of apathy, but because you've entered coherence so deep, so stable, that the desire has done its job. It brought you into the vibration of your next self. And once you're there, you don't need the desire anymore. You are the thing you once wanted. That's when time folds. That's when you stop projecting the future and begin expressing it. Here, now. The illusion of delay dissolves. The field stops receiving signals of someday and shifts into already. And because you're no longer chasing, the timeline has nothing left to resist. It collapses quietly, elegantly, inevitably. But beware, The ego hates identity shifts it can't control. It will sneak back in wearing spiritual language, whispering, "You're delusional. You're bypassing. You're not doing enough." It will try to reattach you to desire, because wanting gives the ego a purpose. It gets to fix, to improve, to strive. But identity is arrival, and arrival terrifies the part of you addicted to becoming. So you must stay aware. Notice when desire creeps back, not as inspiration but as distraction. Notice when the loop reopens, not with judgment, but with clarity. The loop is subtle, it doesn't shout, it whispers, "Check one more time." It says, "Visualize again, just in case." It says, "You're not doing enough." But your enoughness isn't measured by effort, it's measured by frequency. And once your frequency stabilizes in the field of already having, nothing else is required. That's why embodiment is the loop's end. You stop processing life through desire. You navigate as a match. You no longer ask, "What will get me there?" You act from, "What aligns with who I am now?" And that changes everything. Your decisions stop signaling separation. Your speech stops reinforcing delay. Your inner dialogue no longer says, "When it comes." You move as the one who has, and life mirrors that truth back with precision. This is the quantum shift from seeker to source, from I want to I am, from negotiation to collaboration, from prayer to presence, from longing to landing, and in this field of identity, you become undeniable. People feel it, opportunities feel it, the field feels it, because identity is the most powerful spell you can cast. It doesn't ask, it declares. And once declared, the universe organizes around it. Your deepest desires aren't goals, they're invitations, blueprints from a version of you that already exists. And when you embody that version, desire dissolves, not from defeat, but from integration. The signal stops broadcasting outward. It radiates inward. The field no longer waits to be told what to bring. It mirrors what you are. The future isn't a destination, it's a frequency. It doesn't arrive through time, it reveals itself through alignment. And when you stop chasing, stop trying to attract or manifest, and instead begin to remember, everything changes. Because remembering your future isn't metaphor, it's vibration. You've already lived the version of you that has what you want, not in this timeline, but in the infinite field where all possibilities exist, waiting for your consciousness to tune in. That's why your desire feels inevitable. It's not random, it's resonance, a pull from the self. That's already become your job. Isn't to invent that life, it's to become the emotional evidence that it's real. To walk not as one trying to arrive, but as one who knows they've already been. This is the shift from time-based creation to field-based embodiment. You stop measuring progress by signs. You stop asking how long will it take, because time dissolves in coherence. If you feel it now, you already have it. If you don't, chasing it only pushes it away. To live from the memory of the future is to let your energy lead your evidence. To feel peace before the solution, confidence before the clarity, abundance before the arrival. Not to convince the universe, but because your nervous system finally believes. You're no longer proving, you're no longer becoming, you're remembering. And from that remembrance, a reality unfolds around you that matches the frequency you've stabilized, not by accident, not by luck, but by quantum law. Because the field doesn't grant what you plead for, it reflects who you are. Effort alone can't create lasting change. You can hustle from lack, pray from fear, visualize from doubt, and still circle the same results. Because frequency is the only fluent language of creation. And to speak it, you must feel it. So your greatest work isn't in doing more, it's in remembering better. Remember the version of you who already chose, already became. Feel their breath in yours, their calm in your chest, their clarity in your steps. Walk in that remembrance, not as faith, but as identity, because in the quantum field, who you are now is the only vote that counts. You're not collapsing the future. You're collapsing your memory of it into form. Hold that vibration, even when the 3D tries to contradict it, and you become the field itself. You stop reacting to life, you orchestrate it. not through control, but through coherence. This is the new paradigm of creation, where manifestation becomes movement, where desire becomes data, where thought becomes timeline, and where your reality finally mirrors what your soul always knew. So pause, feel into your field, not the one the world told you to chase, but the one your higher self has been waiting for you to reclaim. It's already here. You don't need another sign, another day, another proof. You're already living it, and the more you stabilize in that knowing, the faster the world mirrors it back. If this message awakens something within you, even a spark, you're ready to go deeper from theory to embodiment, from remembering to radiating. That's why we created Awaken Your Quantum Power, not just a book, but a frequency recalibration, a field guide for your next evolution, because you already have it. Now it's time to choose it.